Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going to venture into the world of early childhood learning. We're taking a really close look at alphabet scouts and adventurers.
Right. And these aren't just, standard play groups. They're actually part of Jill Dixon's Eclectic Academy of Learning. That's EAL spelled out.
EAL, got it. So
Yeah.
alphabet scouts first. What's the basic setup there?
Okay, so Alphabet Scouts is essentially a preschool prep play group. It's designed for kids aged 3 to 5. A really important point is that they do need to be potty trained to join.
Right.
It's really about giving them that, gentle first step into a more structured learning environment.
And then there's adventurers. That's the next level up.
Exactly, the natural progression. So Adventurers is for the 4 and 5-year-olds who've kind of mastered the concepts from Alphabet Scouts.
Okay.
They start tackling, more complex skills, building on that foundation they already have.
So I guess the big question we're digging into today is, what is it about these programs, Alphabet Scouts and Adventurers, both part of Jill Dixon's EAL, what makes them seem so effective? Why do they resonate?
That's exactly what we want to figure out. We've pulled together quite a bit of information trying to understand their approach. We've got their academic calendar, class details, registration info,
Nice.
and some really, really positive feedback from parents, which we'll get into. We even have a sample weekly schedule from their Savannah campus. Gives you a real feel for the day.
Okay, good. And it's probably worth mentioning Jill Dixon's EAL has a few locations, right? Savannah, Rincon?
Yes, Rincon. And you pronounce that Rincon, like the skating.
Rincon, okay. Savannah, Rincon, and Richmond Hill.
That's right. And while the core philosophy is the same, the actual day-to-day schedules might, vary a little bit between campuses.
Makes sense. Okay, so let's dive in. What does a typical week look like for these little learners?
Well, looking at the class info, the first thing you notice is this really consistent weekly rhythm. For both groups, Scouts and Adventurers, each week focuses on a different letter of the alphabet.
Okay, one letter per week.
Yeah. And the activities are really diverse, clearly designed to engage kids in lots of different ways.
Absolutely. I see they use read-aloud books, always huge for that age,
Oh.
sparking imagination and introducing ideas.
Definitely. And then there's a big focus on tactile learning. Getting hands-on.
How so?
Things like coloring and tracing letters, both uppercase and lowercase, and even making the letter shapes with sensory materials, think Play-Doh, maybe salt trays, stuff like that.
Oh, that's clever. Engaging multiple senses, not just sight.
Exactly. That sensory stuff is so important for building those, brain connections for learning at this age. And it's not just touching either. There's sound too, singing and chanting the alphabet.
Fun?
Plus, they have these things called letter-themed item bins.
Letter bins, what are those?
Imagine a tub filled with objects that all start with the letter B. You might find a ball, a block, maybe a toy banana.
Ah, I get it.
Yeah.
A really concrete way to connect the abstract letter to actual things.
Precisely. And they also create pages for their own alphabet portfolio, which is a lovely keepsake, I think.
Oh, definitely. Something for families to look back on. And show and tell, too. Bringing things from home.
Yep. Which is great for connecting their home life to school learning. And, of course, group games. Gotta get 'em moving.
You absolutely do. And it looks like they balance all that learning with the essentials, like snack time, lunch, and recess.
Right. And the recess is on a fenced-in playground, which is reassuring. Safety first.
Good point.
Snacks are provided, but there's also this sort of community element where parents chip in with large boxes of shelf-stable snacks each semester.
A nice collaborative touch. Okay, so that's the general vibe. What about when kids move up to adventurers? How does the learning shift?
Well, with adventurers, they start refining those fine motor skills more, the small muscles in their hands.
Like,
Using scissors, learning to glue things properly. These are really crucial pre-writing skills.
makes sense.
And they also start the really exciting process of learning to write and trace their own names. That's a huge milestone for a kid's confidence, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Seeing their own name take shape.
And they get introduced to early math thinking, too. Understanding patterns, basic concepts about the calendar, maybe even time.
Wow, okay.
Plus, a really critical one for reading later on,
Right.
learning letter sounds. Understanding that B makes the B sound.
That phonics piece, yes, super important. It sounds like a very step-by-step, developmentally appropriate approach.
It really does. It seems very thoughtfully designed. And we even got a peek at their 2025-2026 academic calendar.
Oh, yeah. What does that tell us?
It kicks off August 12th with an alphabet intro week, just getting everyone settled, I imagine.
Right.
And then it just systematically works through the alphabet week by week, letter by letter, all the way until a year-end celebration on May 12th.
A full school year structure.
Exactly. And the calendar also flags things like early dismissal days, half days, and the breaks: fall break, Christmas, spring break. It gives families a clear roadmap for the year.
That's helpful. Now, you mentioned a sample schedule from the Savannah campus. That sounds like it would really bring the day to life.
It does. Okay, so looking at the Savannah schedule, drop-off is around 10:05 a.m. Then they start with some free play.
Good. That unstructured time is so important for easing in, socializing.
Absolutely. Lets them settle and connect. Then they transition into more focused stuff, starting with the letter song or chant for the week, often with hand motions, adds that kinesthetic layer.
Making it sticky.
Right. Then it's time for tracing and building the letter using those sensory materials we talked about, Play-Doh, maybe markers.
Wow.
Then a break, snack, and recess. Good energy balance. After that, it's read aloud time, followed by show and tell and something called the brag board.
The brag board. Tell me more.
This sounds really neat. Apparently, if your name starts with the letter of the week, you get to make a little poster about yourself to share.
Oh, I love that. What a great way to build confidence and make that personal connection to the letter. And feel special for the week.
Exactly. It makes them feel seen. So after that, the schedule shows interacting with those letter bin items we mentioned.
Exploring the B-Tub.
Yeah. Then working on their alphabet portfolio pages, then some group games or movement activities before it's time for lunch. It's a packed morning.
It really sounds like it. What happens in the afternoon?
The afternoon seems just as planned out. After lunch, there's dedicated rest time or quiet reading. They even mention soft music playing, important downtime for little ones.
Definitely need that recharge.
Then another round of outside recess, followed by what they call manipulative play.
Manipulative play, like blocks and puzzles.
Exactly that kind of thing. Building blocks, puzzles, sorting toys, great for fine motor skills, spatial thinking, problem solving, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. And then it looks like they wrap up, get ready to go home before pickup at 3:05 p.m.
Yep. It's a full day, but it hits so many developmental areas in a structured way.
It really sounds like it. Okay, let's switch gears slightly to the practical side.
Sure.
What do parents actually need to send with their child?
It's a pretty standard list, really. A small backpack, a water bottle, their lunch, and any drinks.
Right.
A blanket, and maybe a small comfort item for rest time. A change of clothes, always essential.
Accidents happen.
For sure. And then some basic art supplies. Crayons, glue sticks, washable markers, watercolors, scissors. And the big reminder is label absolutely everything.
Label, label, label. Got it. And didn't you mention something about snacks earlier?
Yes, the shared snack system. Each child brings in 2 large boxes of shelf-stable snacks per semester. Helps keep the pantry stocked for everyone.
Okay. Now, what about signing up? Registration, tuition costs.
Right, so for those specific details, the exact fees and registration process, it can differ by campus. So the best bet is to check their website, jilldixon.com.
Makes sense. Go straight to the source for your location.
But the registration form itself tells you a bit about their priorities.
How so?
Well, it asks for all the key child info, name, date of birth, remembering they need to be 3-5 and potty trained. Crucially, it asks for allergy information, parent contacts, emergency contacts, and who's authorized for pickup.
All the safety essentials.
Definitely. Shows a clear focus on safety and well-being. And there's also a spot for parents to add comments, mention concerns, or any special needs.
That suggests they're trying to be responsive to individual kids, which is good.
It does. And, standard procedure, there's a liability waiver. And it also clearly states that paying the first month's tuition means you're committing to the full school year.
Okay, good to know. Helps with planning and stability for the program, I imagine.
Exactly. Now, one of the things that really jumps out and maybe speaks loudest about how these programs are working is the feedback from parents.
Ah, the endorsements.
Yeah.
You mentioned they were positive.
Overwhelmingly positive. It seems like Alphabet Scouts and Adventurers are really making a significant positive difference for these families.
That's great to hear.
It really is. We have comments here from 4 different parents, and the enthusiasm is just consistent. Jennifer Winston, for instance, mentioned that starting homeschooling felt a bit overwhelming.
I can imagine.
Right. But she said Alphabet Scouts, and specifically the teachers, Christy and Ruth, were amazing support. It eased them in, built her daughter's confidence, and helped her make real friends through the whole EAL community.
That community aspect sounds key. And the teachers, Christy and Ruth, getting a shout out.
Yes, they get mentioned a lot. Renee Williams also praised Christy and Ruth. She felt her 4-year-old was totally ready for kindergarten after the program.
Wow, that's a strong endorsement.
Isn't it? She said they instilled a real love of learning and books and helped with positive peer relationships, too. That readiness factor is huge.
Definitely. Who else?
Brenna Dunnigan. She also called Christy and Ruth wonderful, emphasizing how much she appreciated their communication about her child's day. She described it as fun, a great learning environment, and called them amazing educators.
High praise indeed.
Absolutely. And finally, Victoria Zarkowski. Her son was in Alphabet Scouts for 2 years and apparently just loved it.
2 years? Okay.
Yeah, she highlighted again how caring Christy and Ruth are and said it was the perfect setup for her homeschooled child to get that vital social play and learning time.
So all four parents gave really glowing reviews, specifically mentioning the teachers and the positive environment.
Exactly. It paints a really clear picture, doesn't it? A program that's hitting the academic foundations, but also creating this supportive, nurturing space.
Absolutely. Okay, so to sort of wrap up our deep dive here, we've looked closely at Alphabet Scouts and Adventurers, both key parts of Jill Dixon's Eclectic Academy of Learning, EAL.
Right. We've seen how they offer this structured yet really engaging approach for 3 to 5-year-olds, with adventurers building logically on those early skills.
We looked at the kinds of activities they do each week, that detailed Savannah schedule giving us a window into their day, and the practical stuff parents need to know.
And crucially, we heard that incredibly positive feedback from parents Jennifer Winston, Renee Williams, Brenna Dunnigan, and Victoria Zarkowski, all highlighting the program's impact, especially the teachers, Christy and Ruth.
Yeah, that parent enthusiasm really stands out. So considering everything, the structure, the activities, those beloved teachers, the strong parent support, it really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What are the most crucial elements, the real magic ingredients that make early learning programs like Alphabet Scouts so effective in setting kids up for success down the road?
That's a great question to ponder.
Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.